Oops. Go on this one. Actually, let's play the game included. Did we not include play the game? We cut the footage short. Feels bad, man. Let's get the victory screen on. Oh no, wait, we cut the victory screen off as well. We cut it all off. Okay. Twitch chat. Let me bring you guys back up. Hey Josh, a general question. You used to state in the mini objectives for each hero much more. Now I get the feeling that you're digging the details too much, but that comment on the split-second decisions not really applicable in other games. So that's something you're aware of. Love the show and keep up the good work. Partially it's intentional. It's because, basically like with this one, I'm working off the assumption that maybe you've already watched the Sombra coaching the many, so you don't need me to sort of go over mini objectives quite so much. And you got to remember this is also coaching, so it's like, these are the decisions you're making, let's inform those decisions. The feedback is appreciated though. I can try and cover mini objectives more if you're more comfortable with that. I mean, with Sombra, it's pretty simple. It's build up EMP is your priority number one. Let's get these EMPs ready, and then let's try and do something big off those EMP plays. Favorite Sombra Symmetra skins? I like the Cyberpunk Sombra, like the pink one with the blonde hair. I think it's just really striking, and I like that. And Symmetra, I like her Vishkar skins, like the office, like the sort of her in all her like office gear sort of stuff. It's a bit bland, but it suits Symmetra in my mind. Symmetra has a very good basic skin though. But yeah, Symmetra has a flavor of ice cream. What would she be? I mean, she's got that electric blue coloring, so she would be like a, you know, like a. Don't they use that for raspberry quite often? I'm not sure. You can translocate Diva. Why not mention it just in case the person didn't know? Yes, you can actually. So if you use translocate during the period of time when you're translocating, it blocks the bomb. Like you can avoid damage like that. It's very precise timing though. Worth mentioning. If you didn't know it, then hey, yeah. You can also block like it's the same as doing a tracer recall. The tracer recall I think lasts a bit longer in the animation, so you can dodge more with that. What do you think about Symmetra's left click? Does it do too much damage? Is the rubber band too ridiculous? Do you think it needs changing? I think the buff to go to 7 meters from 6 as it was before was probably a little bit too much. The rubber banding on it, so if you aren't aware, it connects at 7 meters, but it doesn't detach until 10 meters. So once you're attached, they have to pull 3 meters away to detach. They could rein that in a bit and I'd be fine with it as well. The thing with Symmetra is I find a lot of people just panic when she's sort of in the team, when they just don't need to panic, and you just gotta find some damage to put down on her. Like if she's in the team dealing that damage, then something's happened somewhere where she's managed to get close that perhaps she shouldn't have been able to do that, and then you just got to be able to punish her for it. If it is wrecking your team, you have options for it. Just don't play characters reliant on evasion. So don't play Genji, don't play Tracer. Like those characters rely on evading damage. Don't play characters like Diva as well. If you're like struggling massively against Symmetra, you might be better off with a Winston. Because Winston in a 1 versus 1, as long as Symmetra isn't charged, you will win that 1v1. You will win the damage race if she's building up from 0. If you aren't aware, Symmetra builds up charge every second as she's dealing damage, so it starts at 30 DPS, goes to 60, and then 120 DPS. As long as she's not on 120 DPS, you will win the 1v1. You can also clear out her turrets that way. You can use your barrier to block some of the damage. Just be careful that you don't use let her use the barrier to sort of build out that charge and then come in and kill everyone, that kind of thing. I think Symmetra is okay, and I think she's in a position now where people are kind of used to playing with her. She's just frustrating to deal with, and I totally get that. But if she's wrecking you, like McCree just shuts it down, absolutely shuts it down. Pharah also very good against her, because when she's ever going to hit the Pharah, when the turret's ever going to really inconvenience Pharah, just as Pharah, I will say, if you're playing Pharah like Eichenwald against the Symmetra, please just throw 1 or 2 rockets at the choke and clear out the turrets. Please do that, because it opens up everything for the team. Symmetra has to try and rebuild them all, and trying to rebuild stuff in a choke that's actively contested is very difficult. So yeah. What do you think of Symmetra Torb on King of the Hill? I hate it. I absolutely hate it. You were basically banking on the enemy team being so bad that they lose the first fight against a team that is vastly weaker than theirs in most ways. Like, the enemy team has to make mistakes, and then they have to lose the point. If you're against Symmetra Torb, ideally you should probably win that 99-0, and you just never let them get momentum, never let them get on the point, never let them do anything, and you just win. If they do take the point and do take it over, then you've got problems, and then it'll be worth throwing ultimates to get rid of stuff like the turret and the shield generator, and clearing out all the Symmetra's turrets, and then you just sort of try and reset the game. And if you pull that off, it's huge. But yeah. Any tips for shutting down Sombra as Anna, shutting down Anna as Sombra? As Anna, like trying to deal with Sombras, just be aware that she's going to be sort of flanking behind, she might try and hack you as well. If she's trying to hack you, just throw the grenade at her, and that will generally put a stop to it and really inconvenience her. You could try and sleep dart her in the process. Trying to shoot her is a little bit tricky because she's quite small. Just be aware of like the pathway she's likely to take. Understand that if EMP is coming in, then just pump healing into stuff. It doesn't really bother you too much. You lose important tools. Don't get me wrong. You do lose some very important tools when you get EMP, but you're still putting out shitloads of healing. So you can still manage that. Just back up, wait for the EMP to fade, then throw a heal grenade, pick everyone back up, try and get a sleep dart on something as they run in. All that kind of good stuff. Shutting down Ana as Sombra. Ana's kind of low priority for you. There are better targets to be focusing on. Just because you're going to have a very hard time killing her. Like, Genji and Tracer have a hard time killing her. How the hell is Sombra ever going to do it? And hacking Ana, it's not going to stop the majority of her healing output. So it's like, there are better things to hack. You might as well be hacking a tank if you can hack something. Hacking Mercy is more valuable because you shut down Guardian Angel, and that means if someone is diving on her, she can't escape and she can't do anything. Well, if you hack the Ana, it's she's still going to be more vulnerable, but it's still easier to just kill the Mercy instead, and it's more valuable to do so. So yeah. What's a good rule of thumb to stick with enough meta pick before you switch off? You just gotta have the instinct of like, like if you're playing Widowmaker is kind of the easy example, because if you aren't getting any kills, then you should swap off Widowmaker. If the enemy team is really hard countering you, you should probably swap off. If you're playing Sombra and like you have no team coordination and like the team's just constantly doing their own things, so the enemy team is really scattered and just doing things off on their own all the time, and you're still losing, probably a good point to swap off the Sombra. If you can't get EMP, like if you fire off your first EMP and nothing happens and nothing comes of it, it's probably a good indicator that, okay, I should probably swap onto something else a bit more normal so that the team can just work with that, and it's a lot easier for people to sort of run with. It's also less likely to tilt the entire team of, you know, having, oh god, the Sombra's not doing anything, not realizing, most people still don't realize that Sombra isn't really a damage output machine, she's an EMP machine, and should be thought of as such. Basically, the EMP is the central focus of your gameplay, and you should be focusing on that, at least in my opinion. There might be some people with god tier tracking that might be able to make Sombra into a DPS machine, but at that point I ask, why not just play Tracer? I know this might make people mad, but is there a use of Symmetra on King of the Hill maps? So I used it once on Shrine in Nepal, I actually found the turrets on Shrine were quite useful. She basically, if the fight devolves into a big clusterfuck on the point, she can really take over. Symmetra can shred apart dive comps, and she can also block a surprising amount of damage. The problem is this: it's if the enemy team spots that you have a Symmetra and they aren't running a heavy dive comp, they just stay a long distance, and you either have a single support, which a lot of teams run when you have a Symmetra, you run solo support, or you run double support and Symmetra, which means you are losing out on some form of range DPS. So the enemy team just plays mid to long range and then just picks you apart. And you will lose the mid to long range fight every single time. So it's like, if the enemy team just reacts appropriately, the Symmetra is so easy to shut down. So easy to shut down. Do you think they're ever going to redress Sombra's gun? Do you think she's intended to be an up-builder to combo smash with? I think, judging by what they've said in interviews, they're very, very clear on her being the offensive support, basically, is the term they use. They definitely want her to be setting stuff up, comboing with people, not really getting kills on her own. Like, that's very intentional in her design. Which to me, you know, it makes it a little bit less satisfying to play, but I imagine they're still being very careful with her in terms of being a stealth character, and they don't want the feeling of her just coming out of stealth and deleting a support. Like, that would be bad. So they want her to come out of stealth, harass a bit, poke a bit, set something up, EMP, then the team comes in and finishes stuff up, and then she helped clean up. Like, she's not there to win fights on her own, or just create huge openings on her own outside of hacking someone, or outside of, you know, shouting Uganda is useless and then taking down everyone. Sombra is considered one of the worst used lightly heroes in the game. With her new buffs, how good do you think she is? And who else do you think could use the Sombra treatment? I think Orisa might need a slight bump, but you've got to be very careful. Like, Dummy, very intelligent player, did a thing very recently with Overwatch Central, and in it he said something that I hold very, very true to my heart. Which, if you think back to Overwatch's release, Genji did way more damage than he used to, than he does now. Genji did way more damage. His damage output, I think his shurikens got nerfed by like 33% or something. He did way, way more damage. Way more damage. And he got nerfed. And he was considered really powerful. He was considered okay-ish back then, but now he's considered still really, really strong, really, really good. And if you think about like Genji now, if Genji now existed back then, he would have been considered ugh, as people still didn't quite know how to figure out how to play with him, how to make him work properly, how to get value off him. The skill wasn't quite there with him. And so it's kind of, ugh. And it takes time for people to learn this shit. It takes time for people to work it out. Orisa has a very weird gun. She has a very weird spread to her gun. She's very kind of clunky to use. She's very vulnerable. Don't get me wrong, I think Orisa does need a buff. I think she needs a head hitbox shrinking. I think Eevee needs to just take that big melon of hers and like put it in a smaller box. And I think that would probably help her immensely. Or maybe make it so when she's fortified she can't be headshot or something. I don't know. Just give us something. And yeah, I think Orisa definitely needs some just tune-ups. I think Sombra is getting to a position now where if you are playing her as an EMP hacking machine, she's doing okay. Like, it's okay. The problem with Sombra is that she requires a very coordinated push. She requires a team to sort of know what to do with her, and she isn't as straightforward as point gun at person, shoot person, win fight. And which, you know, people struggling with that isn't surprising, because if you can't point gun at person, win fight, then why not play soldier, where you can just point gun at person, win fight, win game? Like, Sombra does something very complicated when you could potentially just do it straightforward with soldier. You're giving up a DPS slot, so, you know, do you run Soldier Sombra, which is honestly a really good combo, or do you run Soldier Genji, Soldier Tracer instead, and just try and kill people with Soldier McCree, Soldier whatever, Soldier Roadhog? Like, there are other options that do it simpler and do it easier, and simple and easy works incredibly well on ladder. Why not just do that? On a scale of 0 to swap from Sombra, when do I get some cabbages? You'd have to ask Star, he's the cabbage man. There are certain maps you think Sombra is more effective than others. 2CP, like Sulak said. 2CP is really, really good for Sombra. Hollywood, also very good. The health packs, like for the attacking team, are actually very easy for them to pick up. So it's very, very nice to use that. It's going to sound weird, but if you ever got overbuffed, I would consider running her on Oasis, especially on Oasis Garden, the garden area, because there's a health pack like right next to the point, which makes Sombra actually very strong. King's Row first points is pretty good. You can deny and take some good health packs there as well. Very easy for your team to pick some up. Charge health very easy with choke. Eichenwald, it's okay. You just got to be very sure of what you're doing. Your team has to be very sure of what you're doing. Like any map that's very reliant on a heavy, heavy choke point, it's pretty strong, because the enemy team tends to cluster around that choke point, and if they do, you put out the lights and then you should win the team fight. It's just very, very tricky to sort of get that done in an uncoordinated team. If you're involved in a prolonged fight or somewhere, you're better off disengaging because you're not hacking, or is your threat on the target and slow out gain enough. Easier Lucio that won't die. I'd say just pull out. You should be trying to focus on building your ultimate up, because like if you're shooting at a Lucio, he's still healing his team. You know, he's a Lucio, he's providing support, and even with Nucio, he'd still be able to do it. He'd just probably run to his team and then heal everyone. You would have done net 0. There are better things for you to be doing rather than just trying to grind down on a Lucio who doesn't give a shit and is just getting sound barrier. If they do have a Lucio, it's actually very much worth mentioning this, because no instances of this really happened if they have a Lucio, and as the game goes on, like the first EMP, you should generally consider that you have ult advantage. You should generally be building that faster than everyone else. So the first EMP is free. Like, you can use that aggressively, get your team in a good push, and you will generally have the first ultimate in the game, and you will win. Your team will get their ultimates during the first fight because they can shoot through barriers. Like, there's no barriers there, so they can do all this damage, and then they should just get their ults and you'll naturally win. Second, third, fourth EMPs, that's when you want to be thinking more about Lucios. And like, if Lucio sound barriers and they try and do something with that, fucking EMP it. Like, it's the highest value you will ever get. If you can strip sound barrier off people, yes, do it. Like, as long as the team fight is happening, as long as, you know, it's not a complete waste of a sound barrier, you can just like sit back and let it go, whatever. But if it's an actual fight and they sound barrier, take it out. It's like, sound barrier is 600 hit points on everyone. So if you hit everyone, you've done 6 times 6, 36, 3,600 damage. That's pretty good. It's pretty good with one Q press. Left click was 5 meters, not 7 meters before the buff. Yes, I know, it's 7 meters now. It's 5. Oh, does it increase 2 meters, not 1? Whatever. No, yeah, I know. It's 7 meters now, I'm pretty sure. You think Sombra will be viable in dive? It's kind of weird with her in dive because she doesn't play nice with it. It sounds so strange because you think that she'd be great with it. But the thing with dive is you're trying to put high damage output precisely on a single target. Why not run a tracer instead and just kill things? Like, that's the problem with dive, where you're running like Winston, Genji, Tracer. You might as well just run those three and just kill the targets instead of trying to build an EMP or trying to hack a target when you could just be killing them before they can even react. Like, that's the idea with dive. The thing with dive is it'll be slow for you to build your ult as well because you don't really have people picking health packs up. And then EMPing, if you're like relying on EMP to get kills anyway, you're doing the dive badly. Like, dive doesn't give a shit about barriers, doesn't give a shit so much about abilities. People should be dead before they can really react, and so it's like, it's counterproductive to itself. With Sombra, you want a team that's just going to push forward. Like, so if you have like a nanovisor ready and you EMP, nanovisor's just going to kill everyone, and they can't stop you. They can't counter you. What are they going to do? Reinhardt going to Earth Shatter? No, he's hacked. He's just going to fucking die. So it's like, okay, why not just do that? Just run a normal team. Hack priority targets when you're already behind the enemy. Tanks, if you can get rid of Reinhardt barrier, do it. If you can't get rid of the Reinhardt and can't get rid of the Diva, get rid of the Bastion by good priority. Anything that's very reliant on abilities. If Pharah's been annoying as fuck, then hacking a Pharah can be hilarious. I just, in general, like high priority targets as well for hacking. Nanoblading Genjis, well, just Dragon Blading Genjis in general. If you hack them, Genji relies on his dash to catch up to targets. If he's hacked, he can't do it. So if you see Genji dive in, or if you just hear him shout, because Genji's generally like dash into the air, draw the Dragon Blade, and dash down, and they'll be dashing onto your healers. If you just turn, hold down right mouse button and go, woo, and then Genji goes, he might even kill the healer, and then you'll just stand there going, and everyone's just run away from him, and he's going, and then he just dies. Winston's the same. He jumps in, Primal Rage, you just right-click, woo, and he can't even put a barrier down because he's Primal Raging, and then he's just running around looking like a complete moron and dies. He's a punching bag, which is nice. So yeah. Healers are sort of lower priority for hacking. It's just because you don't have that huge impact on them. Like, you don't stop healing in many instances unless you get a Lucio on speed boost, and even if you get Lucio on speed boost, he just runs away. And it's annoying for him, but it's not like the end of the world. Zenyatta is maybe an exception because it starts him putting Discord on you and trying to fight you properly, and you could just and kill him. But in that case, why not just hack someone else and then kill him? Works very nicely. Sombra should only be used if you're using voice comms to convey actions being taken with Sombra. I absolutely agree with that. Sombra, to me, is the hero that requires the most communication of all. So yeah. Let's see. Any more questions? Is 75% render scale better than 100% lag rise? I'm running a 10-set. Whoa. 144 frames on an issue. I have no idea. Nick Nasty. Not a friggin' clue. I'd say you shouldn't be having any lag issues with a 1070. And you should be probably running at silky smooth 144. Don't think 75% render scale is going to help any more than 100. We were talking back and forth. Point. Also, EMP plus high noon, EMP plus Gravia. It's actually a really nice combo. So I think like even Twitch tweeted out. Oh god. Hey, Noblask, welcome to the many. It's appreciated, my man. Thank you for your support. Even Twitch tweeted it out, but it's actually very nice. Like if you've got a high noon happening, as this is more viable than stuff like Route 66, where like there's a big open space, and if somehow you end up playing Sombra, in those big open spaces, the enemy team just like clusters behind a Reinhardt barrier, and you have EMP, just fucking go in there and EMP it and get rid of the barrier, and McCree clicks his button and everything dies, and it's hilarious. If I go to Twitch's Twitter, pretty sure they tweeted this out. Someone had a clip. It's pretty dank. See if I can find it while scrolling for other questions. From what you're saying, it sounds like a good rule of thumb to hack anyone with movement abilities. Mercier, enemy Sombras, Divas. If the enemy team has a Sombra, hacking her isn't a bad idea because it stops her hacking you and means that you can actually get out. If she hacks you, then you're fucked. It would surprise me if the enemy team does have a Sombra, but hey. It's usually, like, after Sombra got released, people realize that now it's just one-on-one. Okay, I can't find this tweet. Oh, damn it, Twitch. Easier to find, but whatever. Don't want League of Legends clips. There we go. Give me link to tweet. Where's button? Copy link to tweet. I didn't automatically copy it. Fucking Twitter. Like.
Okay. Let's meet him over here.
This is pretty sick.
High noon right now. High noon.
Instant fucking team win. Like, they're relying on the Reinhardt barrier, you strip that away from them, it's so good. Yeah, hacking people with movement abilities, absolutely. Yes. Just because it means they can't get away from you. It means they can't do anything about you. Like, if the target's reaction to a threat is to jump away to someone else, yeah, it shuts it down. Divas in general, I'd say enemy Sombras shouldn't really be encountering you too much in general. If you are getting hacked, then just translocate away. If you think that the hack's going to land, definitely play on the side of caution, because if the hack lands, you're going to die. Anyway, Snowblast, so I think we're about catching up. Would you suggest making the spread on Sombra weapon be very slow? I've been suggesting that for a while, but Blizzard clearly want her to be very focused on the EMPs. Like, it's a very conscious design decision. So while I would love it, and it will make her way stronger, in my opinion, it'll make her like a viable semi-assassin as well, because you can actually use her sort of sight ability to see wounded targets and go and finish those off reliably. Blizzard clearly don't want that. Like, it seems very intentional on them holding off on her damage on changing her damage instead of focusing on changing her hack and trying to make the hack better, more viable, easier to get off in combat, easier to position to get off, that kind of stuff. So while I would like it, I wouldn't expect it. Basically. Tom? Guess that's unrelated. By the looks of it. If they rely on Rhine barrier, you can kill them anyway. You can kill the Reinhardt barrier, you won't be able to kill the targets behind it though. You'll smash the barrier, you won't smash the targets behind it, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, okay, that's about it. What do you think of Sombra on King of the Hill? Good, bad? I'm not keen on it. I think in King of the Hill you just need a lot more direct fighting ability. Like, in King of the Hill you're very reliant on deathmatching, and if you can't win reliably in 1 versus 1s, it's kind of tricky to play that hero. So Sombra is basically a sitting duck, and you're going to very rarely have time to build up properly. It's just, ugh. You'll smash the barrier with the first shot and kill the rest. I think if you're waiting that long as well, the enemy team is probably just going to kill you regardless. Like, this sets it up so much nicer. It's a quick and easy kill where they have no chance to escape. So if you're waiting the entire duration of High Noon to build up to the 1,000, 2,000 damage you need to smash the barrier, it's never going to land. You're never going to get the targets. Trust me, EMP plus High Noon, strong, it's good. Coordinate it. Do you think the animations for going into leaving stealth need to be reduced? I think they're okay now, especially with the change to the voice line. It's the voice line that was the real problem. And I think that's a lot better now. But I think that about wraps it up for us. So, yep. I think I'm going to finish it up there. Thank you, Miss, for plugging me, even though I'm not a pro Hanzo. If you want to send footage in for Coaching the Many, definitely do so. Send some in. I love more footage. More footage is always good. If you're going to send in something like Lucio footage, I recommend waiting until next patch. I'm going to be playing a lot of the new Lucio. He looks super fun, so I can't wait for that. So hopefully we'll be doing some coaching on that pretty soon as well. That should be pretty exciting. And yeah, to get your footage reviewed on Coaching the Many, send it into iamreviews@gmail.com. Just attach a YouTube video to that. In the title, put the name of the hero and the rank that it's played at. So, for example, these games were both played at about 2,250 to about 2,500. So about gold, about the median, which is nice. It's nice in the middle. And yeah, definitely send me your footage. If you think, should I send him this footage? And people ask me this all the time. It's like, oh, should I send in this footage? And my answer is always the same. Just send it in. The worst thing that happens is it just sits in my inbox and I look at it and I give the footage a glance and say, I'll use that another time. And maybe it doesn't get used, maybe it does get used, but more footage the better. You can't go wrong. Just send it in. Trust me. And don't be afraid of like sending in one piece of footage and then a week later sending in a different piece of footage and then a week later sending in a different piece of footage. Like, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, feels good. And otherwise, yeah, thank you for watching to the end. Do come by and watch this live. It is a better show live than it is on YouTube. I've been assured this so many times that it must be true. So come by twitch.tv/ESL_OneAmongstMany and come by and watch live. It should be pretty good. It should be a fun time for you guys. Yeah, that's about it. 10 p.m. 10 p.m. BST, British Summer Time, Friday, Saturday. So yeah, definitely do it. The question, should I send it in, is now in the drinking game. Yeah, it's such a common question. The answer is always the same as well. It's just send it in. Grandmaster review seems unnecessary. I would send one in a character I'm not good at. Actually, Grandmaster reviews are very useful. It's less useful in terms of like coaching you, but it's more useful in terms of like look at what this guy's prioritizing and look at what this guy's doing. Like I did a Mercy coaching the many, someone who recently hit 4K. I've done Soldier coaching the many, I think of Masters and Grandmaster players. Yeah, I have no issue with coaching the many on Grandmasters. So if you send in footage and it's 4K, it's not less likely to be picked. I will also say that subscribers have a higher chance of being picked. I think Sulak, who's in the chat, is a sub. And Meow Indeed is a long time sub as well. I think Meow Indeed's almost on 6 months. How much VODs do you have in your inbox right now? Quite a lot, actually. Like last week, a lot of people sent some in. In the inbox right now, I've got a lot of Farah, a lot of Mercy, good amount of Soldier, some Reinhardt. We'll probably do Reinhardt tomorrow, being honest. Some Anna. But yeah, a lot of Reinhardt, a lot of Soldier, a lot of Fire right now. I'm not going to show it on screen because that will just be rude, I think. But yeah. And also, oh yeah, in the title, put in if you're a Twitch sub or not. But yeah, that's it for us. Thanks for watching to the end. Toodles. They're gone.